kind of person that I am in this very moment. I am crazy about life. I'm biting into the apple. I am a mom. I'm proud of my 2 children. I have a boy and a girl, Connor and Maggie. My husband. I love my family. I'm thriving in the business that I started, in the company that I started to help women in the careers and business called Talentel 4 years ago. I love food. These days, I'm in a mood for baking, cooking. I give Asian cooking lesson for fun. That's how much I'm passionate about cooking. I love traveling. That's the kind of person that I am. Yes, I am from Vietnam. So my roots are from Vietnam. I love it. In my heart, I'm Vietnamese. And on my passport, it says that I'm Canadian. And every time I travel and I open it, I smile. I grew up here. I'm a true Montrealer, Quebecer, Canadian. April 30th, 1975 was the day that my family and I escaped from the war in Vietnam. So I remember that was the very last day that was possible for anyone who wants to leave Vietnam. And in fact, you couldn't even go to the airport. It was destroyed, bombed. So our only hope was a boat. It's not even a boat it's a cargo that had mechanical problems. And I think the capacity was maybe 500 people. And we were 4,000. That's a miracle. We survived after 3 days and 2 nights. The boat almost sank. Water started coming in. And we were nowhere. We were in the middle of the ocean. So it was kind of interesting because I can hear people praying and, we're all going to die together. But at least we're not going to be shot or persecuted. And then all of a sudden on the 3rd day, this boat out of nowhere, it's like a dream. Huge boat came to our rescue and took us to the closest island, which is Hong Kong. From what I remember, you ate brown rice and you're not allowed to go out. So we were more like prisoners. United States accepted us, but we didn't go. Australia accepted us. So that was a big chance that they took now that I think back, because what if Canada did not accept us? And we arrived in Montreal on June 17, 1975. I call it the second chance that life gave me to start all over again. In 1995, I decided, why not Vietnam? All this time I've been traveling, visiting different countries in Europe and the United States, and why not Vietnam? My parents were very upset. It was bad what we went through. What if they hold you back? They had fear. They were anxious. My father still have families in north of Vietnam, and so I promised my parents I'm going to go see Daddy's family, and so they will take me to places, and plus I'll be with my boyfriend, so I'll be fine. So I went. So for 3 weeks we traveled from north to south. And when I got to Saigon, where I was born in south, and I wanted to go see the house where I lived and grew up for 9 years of my life. Going back to Vietnam in 1995 made me realize that, wait a second, there was that part of me that all this time, it's almost like I left it behind, that little girl. And now she's back, and now I felt more whole, because now I found my roots again. I went back and I spoke to my dad's families and saw my house, and it was wonderful. So when I came back here to CBC, came back to work, of course, I realized that, wow, maybe later on I would like to go back to Asia. So that was floating in the back of my mind. And of course, later on I did go back. I went to Hong Kong and lived there for 3 years. I think my whole life changed slowly from that trip. In 1997, I wanted to do something else. I woke up one morning and I felt like I needed to do something bigger in my life. I decided to move my life to Hong Kong with my husband. He's also an engineer. At the time, they had opportunities for him to go work in Hong Kong. I jumped on the opportunity. And I decided that I wanted to volunteer to help for the thousands of refugees in refugee camps in Hong Kong, because they were still there. A lot of the children were born in the refugee camp. So a lot of refugees didn't make it out there like me. It was my way to give back to those refugees. And I have to tell you that the first time I went to visit the refugee camp, although I was 30 years old, I felt like I was 9 years old again, seeing how poor they are. And one family would have a single bunk bed and another family on top, and they had to put sheets to have privacy. I told them, be strong, learn as much as you can, be smart, read a lot, whatever books you can get your hands on, so that one day you can make something out of your life. Because look at me. So I wanted to inspire them. So we lived in Hong Kong for 3 years. We had a baby boy, and I decided to come back because it makes sense. I have a child now, and my family's here. My husband's family's in Montreal, so it makes sense to give my son some roots, Canadian roots. And so we decided to come back after 3 years. And when I came back, I could not relate anymore to be an engineer. I wanted to find the kind of work with a big W, the kind of work that would utilize and leverage my passions, my life experience, my strength, my talents, include my values, everything I've acquired so far, what I believe in, my convictions, use all of that and make a nice package and make sure that I can serve a need out there in the world. Coming back in 1995 from Vietnam, that's when I began to win a bit back of that little girl that I left behind. Now, living in Hong Kong for 3 years and being involved with the refugees, the Vietnamese refugees in the camp, now that I won back that girl that I abandoned when I started my life in Montreal, now she's part of me. But my roots today, I can say that it's complete.